Hi there, it's Michelle from CNC Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in New Zealand, and I just want to show you how to do what's called a squash card. This is an origami card technique that I learned many years ago, and I thought about giving it a try again because I was watching Sarah Douglas's family live video a few days ago, and one of her children made a squash card. So I first learned how to do this back in 2008 when I was a leader at the Girl Guide Jamboree that was in Christchurch, and we made them and I turned it into an autograph book. So this is a large one here. I'll just quickly show you how it works. So it unfolds, and this was made out of large cardstock. So you probably won't be able to see the whole thing in the video because it's quite large. So as you can see, I turned this into an autograph book, and I put some of the swaps and badges that I had received from people at the Jamboree. This side has more ribbons, etc. on it. I'll try to put a better photo of it on my blog post when I do that. But that's the back of it, and then the front, and it just ties up. So that's where I learned that a long time ago, and was reminded of it watching the video. So on this mini one I'll show it to you in a minute, but on this mini one I used some of the words from the new So Sentimental stamp set, and it matches up with, there's a bundle of it on page 4 of the mini catalog, and it matches with the Stitch So Sweetly dies, which has a couple different shapes of dies, some rectangles and some interesting shapes there that fit perfectly with those words, but you can use it with anything. So I used those two for my original one, which I will show you it now. And so I did the tie on the back because I decided to put the words there on the front. So it is tied, and I'm actually opening it up from behind. Now the designer series paper I used in this is from the Tropical Oasis set, and it's just some of the ones that I got in the sample set of designer series paper you get if you sign up to be a demonstrator before March 31st, one of the extra freebies you get. So there's my little one there, and it opens up like that. So there you go. So these, I started with a 12 by 12 piece of very vanilla cardstock, and this is 3/4 of the cardstock. So I did it in, I decided to just cut it into 4 pieces, and these are 3 of the pieces stuck together. And I'll show you in a minute how to actually stick it together so you can get started on your own. So with this, I did different designer series paper. Some of these are just the reverse, and I also put some different colored cardstock which matched the colors in the designer series paper. So for here, you could even put little photos in there, or you could use it as an autograph book. It would make a lovely gift for somebody that's having a special birthday, because you could get everybody to sign different sections of it. If you did that, I would suggest with these darker designer series paper pages that you would put cardstock there so that could be signed. But that's the back and that's the front of it when you fold it up. But then you can turn the whole thing over, and it's actually double-sided, which turns out to be perfect. So the way I folded this one, and because of the cuts, which were 6 by 6 inches, and then folded on down, it became 3 by 3 squares. So that's how I decorated this one. And I was going to do a video on this yesterday, but I wasn't sure how I was going to decorate it, and I spent forever figuring out how to decorate it. So I thought it might be better if I just do a quicker video showing you how to put one together, and then you can decorate it yourself, and I might come back and show you the final decoration of the other one. So these are just some of the sentiments that I got from different stamp sets, and that's the cutout using these lovely dies here. and some of them I just put the layered rectangle on it. And these strips here are what was left over because this DSP is a 6x6 pack is what I got. And so when I cut it down to size to fit in here, I just took it a piece slightly less than 3 inches square. I did it at 2 3/4 inch square, and so what was left over ended up being strips, which made it perfect to add to the centers. If you are making this, keep in mind you only end up with 6 full squares. If you do 3 pieces together, the rest are all folded. So you have to keep that in mind for what you're going to place where. So this is sort of like the inside, those 4 pieces, and then that sort of like the back because it folds up that way. And then you just tie it together. Okay? So I am going to show you how to actually create the book part of this and show you some of my design ideas, the one I'm going to do, and then I will probably follow up with another video with my final version, so I don't bore you with all my decorating, because the making the book is the quick and easy part. The decorating takes quite a while because you sit there and try to think, what should I put and where should I put it? Okay, so I'll pop those away the moment. And I will show you how I cut things. So the other book I'm planning to do, I would like to feature the New Wonders stamp set. I haven't used this before. This is a host-only stamp set. If you qualify with your orders, if you host a party, this is a qualifying gift that you can get for free from the main catalog. You can spend your stamping rewards on that. And I just thought, ooh, it's lovely. Haven't used it. Gives me a good chance to use that one. So what I did for this one, I'm going to make it slightly bigger, but not as big as that original one I showed you. And to do that, I have decided to cut the A4 paper. So what I did to start with is an A4 sheet. I cut it to 21 centimeters, which is basically making it square. So I just cut one end off to make it square. So if you're using inches, you'll have to figure out what square size you want. So this will work with any size you want. You just start out with a square. So once you have your square, then you need to score it. And our trimmer is perfect for that because we have the lovely scorer. So you need to score it in half. And so in that case, scoring this one in half would make it 10 1/2. So score that, which I've already done. Then score it in half the other way. So again, this would be 10 1/2 centimeters. Score that. And then what you want to do, you want to flip it over, and at the diagonal, and that's where this trimmer is just fabulous for this score. And trimmer is fabulous for that. I'm trying to make sure you can see it. Is you just poke the little point there, line up the other little point where the cutting bar would be. Make sure you've got your hand on the gray scoring, and you just go straight down corner to corner. And that's all the scoring you want to do. Now, the reason I turned it over is because I'm very well experienced with making origami. I've been doing origami since I was a child. And so when you put a score line in, not sure if you can quite see that score line there. When you put the score line in, what you're doing is you're pressing a valley into your paper. And then the other side of that becomes a mountain. So if you imagine there's your valley going down and your mountain is the part coming up. When you fold it, you want to fold the valley against the valley to turn it into a mountain. And burnish is always good to do. And so the other one is fold the valley into a mountain. Now, if we just did that with the other diagonal, I would end up with mountains all the way around, and I don't want that because it makes it, it won't fold correctly. So that's why I turned it over to do that diagonal. So there's my valley on my diagonal, and to make that into a mountain, I fold the diagonal to a mountain. So I've actually turned it over to fold it. And now what we have, it makes it very easy to fold it into shape. So your shapes have reversed themselves, and when you push it together, those come together and you end up with this shape here. So if they were all folded the same way after you scored them, you'd have pieces sticking out the other way. So that's why it's called a squash card, because you've folded everything in and squashed it down. At least that's my interpretation of why they call it a squash card. So if you go searching for this online, look for squash card. So I've already done one there. And if you want to do the book like the big one I showed you or the smaller one, you would do 3 of these. You could carry on if you were doing a big birthday. You could carry on and have lots of them and just attach lots of them, and it would get very, very long, kind of almost accordion-like. So you would, with your card, as many pieces as you got, you want to put them together. Oh, I'm thinking, how are we doing this one? I've never actually done it with just 2. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. So when you put them together, the middle piece has to be going the opposite way than the end pieces. So if I had more than 2, I'd have this going up, that down, and then the one that would be on the other end would be going up, if that makes sense. So you want to attach, you overlap the squares and you attach them. So in this case, I only have to attach 1. Normally I would just use tear and tape for this, but for the video, to make it quick and easy, I'm just going to use some glue. And you just want them to go straight together. And give it some good pressure. I just double check to see it still folds in on itself. And that's why glue is quite good for this, because you can wiggle it into place. Okay, so there you go. So those are the pieces. As I said, if you were doing one like this, even though it's smaller, it's actually got 3 sections. So I had the outer section and the center section and this outer section there. So that's actually 3 pieces. So the one in the middle, the 2 squares, were glued together. I think you can kind of see they were glued together there. Okay. All right. Now that you have it stuck together, you choose one side to be the front, one side to be the back. And the one thing you need to attach is some ribbon to tie it shut, because as you can see, it won't stay shut. Now, after you attach your ribbon, you're going to want to put some designer series paper or some cardstock on there. So for this one, as I said, I will put the design together later on because I'm still kind of thinking through it. But I was looking at my cardstock, thinking what kind of looks like it might go with the lovely little girls here, little fairies on the New Wonders. And I really liked the colors of, this is the pressed Petals designer series paper. So I like those colors. I've already cut those down to size. This is one that's from the Come Sail Away designer series paper. I think that's the one it was called. And this, believe it or not, is a envelope liner. There you go. So those are the liners that you get when you buy the Magnolia cards and envelope pack. So you get the cards, the envelopes, and you get the little liners that you put inside the cards. So those are meant to be glued down and stuck inside the cards. But I don't like wasting all the pretty color down there that you're not going to see. So quite often when I have something like that, I use it for other things. So I cut it down for here. That's why it's not double-sided, because it's not actually designer series paper, it's a liner. So those are the designer series papers I want to use, and so based on the colors that are listed down for the pressed Petals specialty designer series paper, I came up with these color swatches. So these are colors I want to use with it. I think they will look lovely with those papers. And what you do when you go to design your card is do your paper just slightly smaller than your outside edge. So I know for a fact that this is 10.5 centimeters by 10.5 centimeters square. So I just took a ½ centimeter off that and cut my squares to 10 by 10 squares. So I did that, and the same with the color, because I haven't decided what I'm going to do, what I'm going to put where. Now for the triangle sections, very easy, quick and easy to do that. I'll cut one up now and show you. Again, similar to the top, once you have it to the size you want, so that square, just pop the point up the top there, line the point up right where the groove is, and you can cut it. Now sometimes when you're sliding down, it catches the point, and it can make the point get frayed. So quite often it's better to go halfway down with your blade, slide up, and then back down, and then you get the nice cut edges. So for that, you now have edges that will fit perfectly within the triangle and still give you a little room to move. Another choice you could do is score down there. You could put the whole piece there, and as long as it's been scored, it will fold up the direction that you want. But keep in mind, the only parts that will be full rectangles will be these sections here. So depending on how long you make it, in this case I've only got 6. So I've got 1, 2, 3 there, 1, 2, 3 here. However, one's going to be a top and one's going to be a bottom. So realistically, the inside parts, I've only got 4 parts to work with. For this one, I was thinking I want to do this picture on the front with the words that say, "Each new page reveals a new wonder to be experienced," because I thought that'd be lovely at the front to open it up. However, I'd like to color that in with my Stampin' Blends. Because I'm going to use Stampin' Blends, it's not a good idea to stamp on your final project because the blends bleeds through. So I'm actually going to stamp it on a bit of card that I've already cut this size down, slightly smaller. And I'm going to stamp it on there so I can color it in with my Stampin' Blends, and I don't have to worry about it bleeding through. So what I might end up doing is I might end up putting maybe some colored cardstock or designer series paper underneath it for the final project. I haven't decided yet. And these can be cut in half as well, just like I showed you a minute ago with the cardstock. And quite often if you do that with something like this, if I cut it diagonally, then I can have one side with the one color of the DSP and the other with the other color, which is exactly what I did here, because on these, that is opposite from there, and that is the other side. So then you don't need to use quite as much designer series paper. So I'm just going to show stamping this. I'm using the Stamparatus for this, one, because it makes it more accurate placement, as well as there's so much detail. I'm worried that if I stamp it, because it's not photopolymer, I can't see through. If I miss a spot, I won't be able to line it up again. But using the Stamparatus, I will be able to do that. When you ink up your Stamparatus, it's good to have something under that side for the pressure. And because I'm going to use blends, I am using the Memento ink because it's a water-based ink and blends are an alcohol-based pen. So I'm going to use that and get it nice and inked up. I've never used this stamp before, so it's first time. Let's see how it goes. It's got a lot of detail in it. Now because the Memento is also a linen ink pad, so you can give it more pressure than you would with your colored ink pads. The color ink pads, because they're foam, they squish more and you can end up having color at places that you don't want it to be. So let's see how that's going to come out. Got that lined up there. Pretty much planned out where I want it to go. And give it good pressure. Nice thing with the Stamparatus, you don't have to worry if you get ink outside the stamp, like on normal blocks, because you can't wiggle it, and that outside ink won't touch your paper. As you can see, I've done a lot of stamping in the background here. Quite often I'll stamp on a piece of scrap paper there so I can see how it's going to line up. Okay. So it's a bit darker in certain spots. I'm just going to give it some more ink in the center because I want it to be quite black around the parts I'm going to color in. So let's see if I can get it to give me, I know it's supposed to be sort of faded around the sides and whatnot. That's fine with me. It's just around the hair I thought maybe I could get a bit better lining up. Just make sure it's still in the same spot. And if you do press it again with your Stamparatus, press in the parts that you didn't get the ink to cover as well as you want it. Sometimes if you stamp it and you just haven't pressed, when you pull it back you still see the ink is still on the stamp. So in that case you don't even need to ink it up, just pop it back down and press where you missed. Okay. Yeah, I like that better. Okay. So it's given me, you know, a nice grayed out image there, and I'm going to color that in. So if I picked it up and realized, oop, that's wrong, as long as I've got it pushed back into the spot, like in this case the corner, I'd be able to do things a bit, ink it up again. Alright, so that I'm going to color, and I will come back to that in a bit. Now, other things I'm using from this set, I'm thinking of putting these stamps on it as well. I want to color them. So I have, oh, I thought I had already, I haven't already. Okay. That's probably what this was for. I'm going to cut this at a triangle because I was thinking I will put the images on the inside, and I'll show you in a minute where I'm thinking of putting them. So let me first cut that. Just realized that's the one I was going to demonstrate how to cut the triangle with, but I did the cardstock, so hopefully I still want that cardstock. So there you go, in the center, straight up and down. So that started out as a square at 10 by 10, and now I've got the triangle there. So I'm thinking I want to put one of these images I thought might look nice coming down from the side, like that. So whatever's written down here looks like little fairies written it. Yeah, because it doesn't go, lends itself more to that side. So I will stamp that. And with the bigger stamps, I like to ink them up from the bottom like this, so you can see where the ink's going. You know, I did recently re-ink this, but I'm not sure how well it's going. But these are images that aren't supposed to be too dark in certain areas, so there we go. Now I'm going to risk this not using the Stamparatus, so hopefully it comes out the way I want it to be. So I'm imagining I'm going to go like there and give it good pressure. And let's see how that comes out. Oh, that comes out lovely. There we go. So I can color that one in. And this guy here, I'm trying to think, where do I want to put this one? So this was, I was thinking, so that one's coming that way. This one I might have come this way. So it's looking that direction. So for this guy, let's try inking it up that way. I say guy, but it's obviously, I would think it's a girl with the long pretty hair. And if I do ink it that way, I always turn it over just to check to see if I've got ink everywhere. I got a bit of color on there, so I'll do it on this side. And I'll just pop it straight down, good pressure. And then straight up. Ta-da! Alright, so those are my inked images. I will probably use some of the words around places and might pop a little high in there or something else. I may even use some flowers to decorate it. So if we just kind of sort of imagine that one's there, this one is colored in, maybe there. In fact, this one could even be up here. And then you just figure out where you want your colors to go. Maybe pop some pretty color in the middle if I want it to. Then this one actually has a lady on it going a certain direction. Now that's actually going to be the back of the card. I have to remember that because when it's folded up. So this might be good to have that maybe on the inside. And then you can do other little bits. You can cut other pieces to cover up part of that if you want it to have a space to put a photo or write on there. I've already stamped some words from that set on various images. Again, most of these images came from the lovely Stitch So Sweetly die set. This came from the smallest one from the Stitched Nested Labels dies. That's the smallest one there. And this was Label Punch. I think it's Lovely Label Punch. I'd have to look that one up. So you can do things like that. So I could even, pop something like that up there, and once I decide which bits to put where, cut that in a diagonal. So this is where the creating of it takes a little while. So you need to figure out what you're going to put and where you're going to put it. And as I said, if you're going to color things, stamp them on a bit of card before you put them down. You could even have these going diagonally over a little section just to give you something to look at. Like that could go there, and I could have this maybe up here. So she's looking down at something that was written on that side. So lots of designing to go on, but the main thing I want to remind you is no matter how big your squash card is, you need to tape a ribbon on the back of that. And I'm going to do that now to show you how easy it is done. And that way I've decided where the back of my squash book is. Okay, I've decided I'm not going to do ribbon. I was thinking about this, and the ribbon will cover up the image on the front. I think I will actually try to create a different attachment. Maybe a couple pieces of cardstock that come around with magnets on the back. So I will go away and work on this, and I will come back and show you the final project when it's done and explain how I've done everything. So hopefully it makes sense to you how to put that together, and I will be back with the rest of it very soon. Thanks! Okay, I'm back and I finally finished it. So I just didn't want you to sit around watching me stamp everything. So I used the New Wonders stamp set and the designer series paper that I was showing you earlier. I decided not to use a ribbon to tie this. Like I had the other one tied with ribbon around the back, and my original one I had the ribbon tied around the front coming from the back. So with this one, I ended up doing just a piece of cardstock, and I've just got a Velcro bit there. One suggestion is if you do it, have a bit more overlap, because I didn't leave a lot, and when I filled it up, it's actually a bit fat, so it's difficult to get it to overlap now. And I chose to stamp the little leaf from this stamp set, just to give it some interest, and put just a designer series paper on the back. So the front, that's what I stamped earlier with the Stamparatus, colored it in with the blends, and then I've just popped it up on the blue to pick up the Night of Navy color from the shirt. And fussy cut the words because they didn't really fit very well on the page, so that way I could pop them in where I wanted to. I highlighted the edges just with a little bit of the Pool Party blends pen, and I find it's quite nice to use on areas that should be white, just to give it a little bit of a highlight. So with this, just simply pull apart the Velcro at the back. If you have magnets, that would work as well. So that opens it from the back, and then it unfolds. And so the inside, hopefully you can see the whole thing. Yep, I think you can. I'll just move a few things out of the way. So there's the inside. I just contrasted some of the cardstock, which I showed before, and then just put some of the designer series paper. This is actually the back, so I didn't put anything in the center there. But these areas, you've got room that you could write on. If you had a like a white pen, you could write onto the dark, or these are areas you could put photos, so you could snip little bits of photos, etc. This one here, I tried to make it look like the pen is coming up from there. I don't think I did that great of a job, but that's why I decided to do that pen like that. This is the washi tape flowers. I don't have it here to show you, tell you the name, but this is what it looks like. So it comes like this, and then each petal is actually a little bit of washi tape, and it's sticky on the back, so you can make them into a shape there. I could possibly look it up quickly in the book, and I'll let you know in just a second. I'll show you. Okay, I found it. It's on page 172 of the main catalog, and it's called the Pressed Petals Specialty Washi Tape. It comes with the petal strip, and then it has another little strip there that looks sort of antique-ish, has numbers, etc. on it, but these are the petals, so it comes with both of those in that set. So that's what I use, because the paper has the matching flower, so did that, and those are the same little flowers that I stamped on the edge there. That's part of this stamp set. And then just left an interesting shape that was with the scalloped squares in the center, so you could write something or put a picture there. So these areas lend themselves to autographs or photos, etc. You could pop a photo straight onto here, or if you want it to write on there, just put a little bit of white card on it. And then the other side, let's turn it around this way. So that's the front, and then I did the same, just a bit of cardstock and some of the DSP in various ways. This one I just did half and half, so I just glued it right on top because I picked up the color of the yellow, the Daffodil Delight, from the hair onto this part, which would be perfect to write on. And basically that's it done. So you can decorate yours however you'd like, and you can make them as big as you want. So as I showed earlier, this one is done with two squares stuck together, and they were 21 centimeters square to do that, which is, I believe that's 8 1/4 inches square. And this one here was done with 6-inch squares, and this was done with 3 pieces. So you can see it just makes it a different thickness the more pieces that you stick together, so the 3 is thicker than the 2. So it just depends on what size book that you want, what you're going to use it for. It can be an autograph book, it could be little photo album and memory book. You could put souvenirs there from your trips, when we all are able to take trips again. You could use it as a diary for what's happening in your life right now and just write. In fact, if you did that, I'd suggest you just stick pages together as you go. So if you're going to do that, just make sure that you don't write on the square that it would be glued on. So don't write on that square. You could fill this up. You need another page, pop one on, glue it there, and carry on, and you could have a nice large book with a diary of what's going on. Could be a good journal for the children, school journal, putting down what they did on the holidays, etc. Okay, so that's with the new Wonders, and this is with the So Sentimental stamps are in that one. So if you enjoyed that video, please give me a thumbs up. Have a look at my website if you're interested in purchasing any of these products and you live in New Zealand. And you don't already have a demonstrator, I'd love to be yours. And have a look at my blog, because I will be posting a blog with photos of these and explaining how to make them, as well as with directions and the products that I've used in this video. So thanks for watching and have a good day. Bye-bye.